August's multiplayer releases kinda sound like some cool kid's birthday party. We got superheroes, samurais, and dinosaurs. Good thing you're invited too. If you've been waiting for an RPG to sink dozens of hours into, we've got you covered. Expedition Samurai takes place in Japan around the year 1600, during the final years of the Sengoku Civil War. But instead of playing as a local feudal lord, samurai, or even ninja, you play as a Dutch. Immersive, right? As the newly elected Captain Flynn, you and your companions land on the shores of Japan. But instead of getting some well-earned holidays after a way too long trip overseas, you get dragged straight into feudal politics and decisions that can shape not only your own story, but Japan's future as well. Unlike its predecessor, Expeditions Rome, this entry focuses much more on character-driven storytelling. You create your own captain, pick one of 4 classes, and decide what kind of person you want to be throughout the adventure. Whether you solve problems through diplomacy, manipulation, or simply by drawing your sword is entirely up to you. Just beware, your companions will certainly remember your choices. Each of the 8 party members comes with their own story, approval system, and even romance options. Because why not? Similar to games like Baldur's Gate, those companions won't turn a blind eye to your actions. Making enemies is just as possible. Push someone too far and they might decide to leave your party, or even turn against you. The best part though is that this is the first Expeditions game with proper online co-op. The entire campaign can be played by 2 players from start to finish, with drop-in and drop-out support whenever you want. Both players take part in conversations, combine their dialogue skills to unlock additional options, and can even end up competing over the same companion. Great! This time, Nox can romance the emotionally complicated one. Right, Shadowheart? Outside of dialogue, you will coordinate stealth, set up ambushes together, and plan your turns simultaneously during tactical combat, making teamwork feel like a true core part of the experience. Expedition Samurai launches into Steam Early Access on August 7th, with the developers aiming for a full release sometime next year. Marvel Tōkon Fighting Souls is a 4v4 tag team fighter game by none other than Arc System Works, the Japanese studio that's super famous for fighting games overall, including Guilty Gear, BlazBlue, and one of the Dragon Ball Z games. And yes, this is very much a competitive multiplayer game rather than a cooperative one, but a friendly competition among friends never hurts. Tōkon offers a local multiplayer mode that is available offline as well, but it will have day 1 full crossplay between PC and PS5 too. There is ranked and casual matchmaking, private rooms for friends, and even a social lobby for up to 64 players. Here, you'll run around as tiny and pretty adorable Marvel avatars to challenge other players to duels. Just note that for any online content on console, you do need a PS Plus membership, and seemingly a PlayStation account is always required too, even on PC. The 4v4 tag fighting system means that you will have 4 character squads in total. You will start with just 1, then have more characters join the battle. They can be called in for assists, combo extenders, and even chain together a cinematic ultimate attack. The developers are trying to make this one welcoming for newcomers without taking away the depth competitive players expect. Alongside traditional fighting game inputs, there are simplified controls that make pulling off flashy attacks much easier, while still leaving plenty of room to master team synergies and more advanced combos. And if you love Marvel, there is a single-player story campaign written by a well-known Marvel writer and illustrated by a team of manga and comic book artists. The launch roster features 20 playable characters, including Spider-Man, Penny Parker, and Deadpool, with even more arriving through post-launch updates. There was no clear mention of a battle pass, but the Steam page does mention exclusive content locked behind the Deluxe and Ultimate Edition, as well as pre-order bonuses, and something that's called a U1 Character and Stage Pass, offering 4 characters, a new stage, and cosmetics post-launch. House, the developers behind Untitled Goose Game, are back with a new game where you're not the most annoying goose in the hood anymore. Although this one might actually still involve some honking. Big Walk is a cooperative adventure built entirely around something simple that many just can't do anymore these days: talking to each other. Honestly, not great for the introverted individualists among us, but a giant online space for digital hangouts for the rest. This is called a walker-talker game, so there are no enemies to fight, no survival mechanics to worry about. Instead, you and your friends explore a huge landscape inspired by Australia. And before you run, minus the spiders, solve puzzles, and just do whatever you feel like, really. The characters look a bit silly and simple, yes, but that never stopped anyone from having fun in simpler graphics games like Peak, for example. Big Walk uses a built-in proximity voice chat as one of its main mechanics, so you can yap the whole time. Almost, because some puzzles intentionally block or distort communication, forcing you to use gestures or have you split up far away, which means it's time to use walkie-talkies, whiteboards, or laser pointers. And because the game supports a whopping group size of up to 12 players per session, you will be quite busy figuring out how to overcome the puzzles and challenges. The developers even recommend avoiding using Discord while playing all together, because figuring out how to communicate is half the fun. It's like Christmas Eve, with the whole family from around the globe. Leave a comment if you've played this game with your grandma. But that reliance on comms also means that Big Walk isn't really designed for random matchmaking. Instead, it's meant to be experienced from beginning to end with the same group of friends over several sessions. Although it looks sandboxy, it does have a handcrafted adventure story with an ending that should last around 10 to 15 hours in total. Of course, you're also free to ignore the objectives for a while and simply wander around together. The game arrives on August 4th for PC, PS5 and Nintendo Switch 2 with full cross-platform support. We haven't had a good co-op dinosaur game in a while, but this month, one contender tries to fill that dino nuggy-shaped gap. Delicious! Claude is a survival horror game that takes us to Prehistoria, an abandoned dinosaur theme park. And if you have been paying attention to the Jurassic Park films, you probably already guessed it. Absolutely nothing has gone according to plan there. Your mission is to recover sensitive data, but getting it is a tiny bit more complicated than just pressing the download button. Instead, you need to explore overgrown attractions with plenty of dinosaur enclosures, where humans definitely aren't at the top of the food chain anymore. The park is fully interconnected, encouraging you to search every corner for resources, solve environmental puzzles, and slowly unlock new areas. Of course, you'll also have to survive encounters with everything from packs of raptors to the beloved T-Rex. And even a megalodon is making an appearance. So don't expect to spend much time admiring the scenery, I guess. Bringing friends along certainly improves your odds, or the dinosaur dinner, depending on your playstyle. The entire game supports online co-op for up to 4 players, allowing you to tackle the campaign together. Just make sure you don't team up with Greg, who will probably want to check what's making that noise. Or do and use the distraction. The full campaign is completely playable in single player as well, and beyond the main story, Claude also includes a much more relaxed tourist mode, letting you explore the park back when everything was still running normally, alongside another expedition mode set on the island where the dinosaurs were originally discovered. After several years of community feedback, tons of improvements, and polishing through public demos, the developers are now finally ready to open the park gates on August 13th. RIFTSTORM is another entry in the PvE co-op looter-shooter genre, but with some twists that we think are pretty cool. For one, this isn't one of those brutally punishing extraction games, where one small mistake wipes out hours of progress. Instead, the devs took a much softer approach to risk and reward. Every mission gives your team the choice of leaving early with the loot you've already collected, or pushing deeper into increasingly dangerous areas for even better rewards. Of course, the longer you stay, the riskier it gets. But even if you fail to make it out once, you get to keep your equipment and only lose the loot from that run, making it much easier to hop right into the next run. The game is built around 3-player online co-op missions. Each player picks a weaver equipped with supernatural powers and unique technology. During missions, you can pick up and choose between powerful upgrades that completely change how your weapons and skills behave. Since there are over 100 of these modifiers to discover, experimenting with different builds and squad combinations looks like it will be a major part of the fun. Being an indie title, RIFTSTORM is first launching into early access with a playable core build and more updates coming over time. When it comes to blasting xenomorphs into tiny pieces, more marines simply means more fun. And hopefully better survival, depending on who you are teaming up with. For that reason, Aliens Fireteam Elite 2 expands the team size from 3 to 4 players, throwing your team into another bug hunt inside the Alien universe. Just like its predecessor, this is all about working together against overwhelming odds and numbers. The campaign can be played with up to 4 players or added AI companions for smaller groups. Full cross-platform play is available from day one, including cross-platform voice chat, which becomes especially important on higher difficulty where friendly fire is enabled. Mainly so you can let Greg know exactly what you think about his terrible aim, of course. To keep replayability high, the class system has received a significant overhaul. 5 different classes cover the usual frontline fighters, support, and specialists roles. But the real twist is an unlockable class that lets you mix abilities, weapons, and perks from all the others into your own custom build. Weapons also offer far more room for experimentation this time, with different attachments, fire modes, and elemental effects, which could become especially useful once you start coordinating loadouts across the team. As if that's ever going to happen. Let's be honest, just go in guns blazing, am I right? Alongside familiar xenomorphs, you will also face new enemy types and tougher bosses, with much smarter AI that reacts to your tactics instead of simply running straight at you. The campaign alone offers around 10 hours of playtime, depending on your skills, of course. After that, there is also an expanded horde mode for those who just want to see how long their group can survive. If you'd get stranded on an island, would you prefer being accompanied by a volleyball or a crow? If the answer is crow, and the island to get washed onto should be a wholesome one, this is your 2-player co-op adventure for August. Capy Castaway follows a young capybara pup that ends up on a mysterious island after a devastating flood separates it from its parents in the zoo. Capy teams up with a crow called Corvi, and together they set off to find a way back home. Although, as the story unfolds, home might end up meaning something entirely different. Although sounding somewhat dramatic, this is a relaxed exploration game without combat, where curiosity is rewarded around every corner. One player controls Capy, the other Corvi, and you will constantly work together to solve environmental puzzles, reach hidden areas, and occasionally create a bit of harmless chaos along the way. Capy can sniff out hidden treasures and dig them up. It can swim or haul objects around, while Corvi can scout the sky, fetch items, and even carry little Capy across gaps. The puzzles are built around combining both of the characters' unique abilities and a little player creativity, but they are never overly punishing or complicated, making this one stress-free and less frustrating. You can play in couch or online co-op through Steam Remote Play together, making it an easy recommendation for couples and friends, but also a kid-friendly adventure for families. If you want to try it out before it launches, there is a demo available on Steam, which has already made quite a positive impression. And those were all the new co-op and multiplayer games releasing in August. And in other news, we are officially back from our break, so if you've missed us just a little bit these past few weeks, there's a lot to look forward to. Until then, we wish you a ton of fun in co-op with your favorite people, and as always, we'll see you again in the next one.